Again, thank you all for coming. Beautiful that you mentioned that tonight is Rosh Chodesh. Still, actually, it's like interesting, according to Chabad, the day to celebrate a birthday or like a yard side or anything. People say, obviously, the whole day, but then the day that you make the Farbrengen is the night after. So people always say, why do you do it the night after? So the reason is because in the Bet HaMikdash, they were still doing karbanot, they were preparing the skins, they were still doing things from the day. So we learn from that, some people, they start a meal before sunset and they extend the day a little bit. Like, we have the 72 minutes, some people keep on after Shabbat to extend the day a little bit. So with Rosh Chodesh, it's very easy. I try to wash. I learned this from a rabbi. He told me, he says, try to wash. This way, at least you started the meal, right? You started the meal before Shkia, so it was 8 o'clock. Had some bread, went until 8:15. Now I know, within 72 minutes, if I eat something else, I continue the day. I continue and continue until you say Arbit. Just heard this halakha today again. Once you pray, you say Baruch Hu. As you know, you always tell me this one from Shabbat. It's Shabbat for you. It doesn't matter if it's light outside. It can be 6:30, as long as it's after the. That's it. You keep Shabbat. That's it. Same thing with after. Same thing with after Rosh Chodesh. So I try when I remember. I asked my wife for a pita, put it in the oven, started a beautiful meal with some meat for Rosh Chodesh. And so we're still in the middle of Rosh Chodesh. Wow, thank you for coming. I almost sent you a text list.
I wrote that up though.
Good, thank you. I was going to ask if I should wait for you. Okay, so Morris, Chaim. Okay, so I want to start with a little bit on the parasha, Bamidbar. First of all, Bamidbar means, the literal sense is in the desert. A lot of times we could feel like we're in the desert. What's the desert? If you want to get into a space of serving Hashem, is a place that's dry, doesn't have any water. A person who's thirsty is thirsty for something that he wants. He wants water. But if you translate that in Tehillim, it says Be'eretz tziyah ve'ayef beli mayim, a place that is dry, thirsty, and without water. And in the Kabbalah, it talks about water. Water is, anybody? Water is life, mayim chayim, right? But it says in the water, it says that water is similar to Torah. Why is the Torah called water? Because just like water goes from a high place and drips down and drizzles down from a high place to a low place, the Torah also comes from a very high place and it comes down to a low place, which is obviously Hashem, the ultimate Chokhmah, comes down to us low, limited beings. And the only reason, again, why we're low is because we're in a place that's called in the Zohar the Alma de Pruda, the world of separation. Why did Hashem separate us? So that we could choose Him. Because there's no game. If we know everything, when in the world of truth, obviously, there's no game anymore. The gig is up. It is what it is at that point. So now we have the opportunity to make the right decisions. But as far as the Bamidbar, we mention there's a conversation why was the Torah given in a desert? It could have been given in the Bet HaMikdash. It could have been given even in Mitzrayim, in like let's say a very prestigious palace or something. And I thought it was a beautiful hashgacha pratit that today marks the day. I just happened to see this morning, the 1st of Sivan is the day that we started camping at the Har Sinai. It's the day we arrived. And obviously on the 6th day is when the Torah was given. Shavuot's coming up very soon. If you think about it, it's really connected right now. Wednesday, we already started saying the Chuna Ranana in the Shir Shel Yom. Like the Zohar says, the 3 days of the week, like the menorah, right? I keep repeating this one, but the center is Shabbat. Kihi mekor habracha, we say in the Chadadi, right? So we have the 3 branches this way and the 3 branches that way, and the 3 branches that way starts with Wednesday. So Wednesday is the beginning of Bamidbar. Even though we start saying obviously from Sunday, but Sunday, Monday, Tuesday is connected to the previous Shabbat. So Kihi Makor HaBaracha, we have the center. And just to go off topic for a second, it's just very interesting how the Zohar also calls the Bnei Yisrael, or I should say Knesset Yisrael, the source of the souls of the Jewish people, is also called the menorah. Just like a menorah is made out of one piece of gold, it cannot be made out of parts and hammered together or soldered together. The Jewish people all come, our source is all from the same single soul that comes, this pool of souls, which originally came from one soul, which originally came from that part of HaShem. That's what we all share, that common denominator. That funny story. This morning I was in shul, and this guy was visiting from Israel, and he asked me if I have a light. I said, it's so like, I don't know, I feel like it's out of style already, you know? Like, he's like, I have a cigar. He's telling me in Hebrew, for Rosh Chodesh, I want to light a cigar for that. Like, remind me of my grandfather. He used to smoke cigars in the store in the 80s, you know? Like, okay, and I know what a cigar tastes like. I've enjoyed it too at one point. So I'm like, let me go find this guy a light. I don't know. I'm like, he's like, no, don't worry. I'm like, are you going anywhere? He goes, no. I said, okay, 1 minute. I'm finished praying. I was outside saying Tehillim. I walk inside and I go behind I saw some guy before, like, you know, they light the candles sometimes. So I was like, okay, I think I saw one there. So I just started looking. It's like a trapdoor. It's like a hidden thing. And I was like, I once looked for it and I couldn't find it. And I said, okay. But for this guy, I needed a light. Somehow I found it. I came outside. He goes, how beautiful are the Jewish people? He's Jewish, I'm Jewish, but he's saying it. And I'm like, that's actually true. He goes, you go to China, you go to Japan, that's not going to happen. Someone doesn't have a light, they don't have a light. I'm like, that wasn't me. That was the piece of Hashem inside of me that made me want to go and inconvenience myself and try to find this guy, not because I knew him, not because I wanted a light, not because I thought he was doing the right thing either, but he wanted a light, so I found him a light. I don't know. And this is exactly what we're saying. We have this spark inside of us that really helps us, obviously, to choose right from wrong, and to really just be godly, to help each other in a way of kindness. And what is kindness? Mahu rachum, afata rachum. You have to be merciful, you have to be kind, you have to visit the sick, you have to do the way Hashem showed us in the Torah, what he did for Avraham Avinu, what he did, obviously, for many other wonderful characters. So the concept of the desert is, a person could think, I'll learn Torah, but I need to have a full bank account first, so I can be calm, you know. Or I need to have a wife. I need to have children. I need to have a house, whatever it might be. I need to have just peace of mind. It could be a million things what a person might think. The Torah is given in the desert, Bamidbar, to show us you don't need anything. You need nothing. It was given in the desert in a place that had, it says, malen, snakes, scorpions, and like all kinds of just things that you can't even eat them. Like there's nothing, there's no life whatsoever that's sustainable. And we learn from that, obviously, that no matter where you are, it doesn't. We learn we're supposed to try to memorize certain things just to have a Mishnah, or some people learn a little bit of Tanya. It could be like one line, just something to go over in your head. Reminds me of when I was getting married, and I was by the chuppah, and I was thinking, what do I do now? Like I knew kavanot, this, that. Try whatever you can, and then at some point, I drew a blank, so I started repeating Tanya in my head. I started repeating whatever I knew by heart, a Mishnah, whatever. And it's like, that's what you're taught. You try to use it because the Torah is just like water, right? Water is purifying. When a person learns and says the words of Torah, even if a person, certain Torah, not all of it, but certain Torah, even if a person doesn't understand it, you're actually purifying the air. So when you're walking around, it says, besides for that, when a person walks on the stones, like let's say we have pavement, we have asphalt, it's easy to understand. Back in the day, they had dirt, so there was less But now we have literal stones that we're walking on. And back in the day with the kings and the queens, they had pebbles, like cobblestones and pebbles that were laid out for them. So it says that when Mashiach comes, the stones are going to ask you, how could you walk on me and not say words of Torah? What do you think I'm here for? The stones have a neshama. Even the avanim, the stones, everything has a neshama, right? A person could think, I could step on an insect, right? I could just walk around. What does it hurt me? Imagine it was the other way around. Why do you wouldn't want someone to step on you? We have to realize everything is in this world for a purpose. So how can we use this to serve Hashem? Insects, I just saw this recently in a Rashi. Insects are there. Obviously, there's many more reasons why. But it says that one of the reasons insects are here is so that there should be a mitzvah in the Torah that we should not eat them. And it's disgusting to us anyway. But that's enough of a reason that Hashem wants to take us out of Mitzrayim because we don't eat insects. That's enough. So if we ever think, chas v'shalom, about a person who might be, in our minds, far away from Hashem, or a person who might be, even a person, I know guys who they call themselves atheists. And the Alter Rebbe in Tanya says it's not possible. You could say you're atheist, but it doesn't mean you're an atheist. You think you're an atheist. But really, deep down, your neshama wants the same thing that every other rabbi wants. You want to connect to Hashem. And if a person really knew in that moment that they were breaking that tie, that severing that connection, because we know it's 613 soul powers, 613 strands that are connecting us. And if a person breaks even one of them and says, okay, but it's not my level, right? A person could say, even if they just do that one thing over and over, even if it's not believing in one thing, it can hurt something physically, unfortunately, in the body. It's not a threat, God forbid. It's been proven many times. People have come to rabbis and asked them for like a tikkun to help them fix something in their life. And they would have to tell the Rabbi Malka story now, in case I haven't said it yet, just in case. And if I haven't, it's still a good story. There was a couple that came to a rabbi and asked him for couples advice. They were having trouble in their marriage. And the rabbi listened to them and asked them about their observances. And the rabbi said, okay, I think I know what would work for you. I think that if you put your phones down, put the keys away, sit down, have a Friday night dinner, go to shul maybe. If you're not there yet, at least keep Shabbat. Just don't do anything melacha. Try, step by step, keep the phone, the TV. Try to do these things, and it'll just bring you guys together. You'll sit, you'll talk. They looked at him. They looked at each other. They go, Rabbi, we came to you. We respect you, but we came for marriage advice. We didn't come for religious advice. That's not what I came for you, but thank you very much. I appreciate it. They walked out. Okay, he said, no, I understand. No problem. This is what I got, It says that by Har Sinai, we're talking about Har Sinai, it says that, the fire came down and scorched earth on the mountain, right? It says everyone was warned not to go close to the mountain. And but it also says that one of the mitzvot we have in the Torah is to love Hashem, to fear Hashem, but also it says ledavkabo. Devek is glue, right? How do you attach yourself? It says a question in Rashi. How do you attach yourself to a fire on a mountain and not perish? Like, if we're talking, we try to say these terms, but we try to put them in as literal sense as possible. So we're obviously not saying to jump into a fire, even though we know some people have over time, and we're, like Abraham and, different people that they survived. But the concept should be literal. So how do you connect to a fire on a mountain? And in many places, we talk about in the Beit HaMikdash, the fire came down in the shape of a lion's head, and it consumed the karbanot on the Mizbeach. So all these references to fire. So how do you connect? So it says by Har Sinai, it says that the way to connect to Hashem is by connecting to the Talmidei Chachamim. That you connect to the people that are basically one with Hashem, because it says, of course, in the Zohar that Oraita v'kuchabrichu kulachad. Hashem and the Torah are one. So how does it become? It also says Yisrael v'Oraita v'kuchabrichu kulachad. How do you become Yisrael v'Oraita v'kuchabrichu? If Yisrael learns the Oraita then it becomes kutabrihu. You have to learn, the Jewish people learn the Torah and make it part of them. Make it something that you remember something by heart. When you're walking around, it doesn't have to be literal. It could be just something you heard from a class. It could be something that you heard as a kid. Something that you can remember, that you can refine and keep playing over in your head. Just something, a concept. And if a person has a hard time remembering something, you can always go to, let's say, a leaf. Go to a drop of water. Go to, it doesn't matter, something in creation. You think of a fish, can't leave water. If a fish leaves water, it dies, right? It says that if a Jewish person leaves the Torah, it could be a very dangerous thing for a person also. And sometimes, obviously we're in a world of separation, so we don't always see it right away. Sometimes we see the opposite. We could see someone, it's brought down. I saw many times people ask, how could it be that the person doesn't die? It's like a fish coming out of water. And how could it be that Rishayim gets such reward in this world? It's not fair. How could it be? So the simple answer is, would it be a challenge anymore? It wouldn't be a challenge, right? If we wouldn't have free choice, we get no credit. Hashem is our Father in heaven. It says, Banim atem l'Hashem Elokechem. You are like children, right? In some level, we have to still be like servants, and we also have to be like subjects. We have to be someone that chooses. En melech belo'am. But in another sense, it does say that Hashem is like our Father, right? Our Father in heaven. We hear it all the time. So Hashem wants to give us. And how does He give us? He gives us choice. And if we make the right choices, and He helps us. That's the beauty of it. We say at the end of Amidah 3 times a day. We say, Pitach libi b'toratecha. Open my heart. Also sounds like a request, but to me it sounds like a promise. And if you think about it, Pitach libi b'toratecha, you're asking, that's for sure. That's like, in a way, haftacha, it's like a promise. You're going to go after them. But if you notice, Hashem it says, like also in the Zohar, it says, a little itaruta de la tata, a little step down here, like, a small step for mankind, right? Creates an avalanche of assistance from above, to try to translate it exactly. But obviously, we do nothing on our own. Everything, even the breath that we have, it says, Asher nafachta bi. Hashem blows every day, lifgarim metim, like we're coming back from the dead. So every day we say Modani because we're thanking Hashem that everything comes from Him. And so it says that if a person thinks that the fear that they have of Hashem, Ama Yirat Shamayim, if a person says, I fear Hashem, they lose it. Why do they lose it? It says that Hakol b'dei Shamayim chutz mirat Shamayim. Everything is in the hands of heaven. You speak Hebrew very well, except for Him. So why do I lose it? If it was me, if that's not in the hands of heaven, right? You have to remember that if a person thinks that anything that they have, right? It reminds me of a joke that I heard. My brother used to live in Montreal, Ben. And he said, it's very funny. He was living in Quebec, Montreal. He said the Quebecois, they want to secede from their union, right? They don't want to be part of Canada, right? But they want to keep the loonie. So it's like a kid, the loonie is their dollar. So it's the nickname for their dollar. So a funny joke I heard from someone else is, how do you take a financial crisis seriously? The loonie is down. Oh, so sad. But so he was saying it's like a kid who leaves. He goes to college, right? He tells his parents, I don't want to hear from you anymore. I'm done with you. But they keep charging the credit card. So what are you talking about? This is what Canada's doing. It's the same thing when Texas and California said the same thing. It's very cute. You're going to make your own currency now? Okay, very funny. But we can learn from all this that Hashem really wants us to be connected. They say the best way to make a family get together in the house these days, you turn off the Wi-Fi. Everyone comes to the room. What's wrong with the Wi-Fi, right? So Hashem, unfortunately, sometimes does that to us, but we don't have to wait till that happens. We can try to reconnect every moment Hashem wants us to connect. And it's not just Hashem. Our soul, which is a part of Hashem, we said before, it's like a candle Ner Hashem nishmat adam. The candle of a man is the candle of God is the soul of man. If you break that down, it says that the wick is the body. The flame on our heads is the mitzvot, the good deeds that we do. Of course, learning Torah is included. But before, just in case I'm going to skip ahead because there was something I learned yesterday. It was just unbelievably beautiful and appropriate, no matter who's listening. Because sometimes either we're tired, or a person might say, if you want to go really far and say, I can't learn Torah. I can't sit down and open a Gemara. Like thank God we do. But some people really might not appreciate it or really feel that they can understand it, because there's some Torah learning that you have to understand it in order for it to be counting, like you learned the Torah. So why do we say that a person should do it anyway? Because if a person does it and then they practice it, then one day they're going to learn it, and then what they did before is going to be grouped together with it. Hashem connects a good deed to an action, right? So if a person feels that they cannot learn Torah for whatever reason, whether they're tired or whether they just feel that they don't have the mental capacity for it, they should do a mitzvah. And doing a mitzvah is something that a soul cannot even do in heaven. Learning Torah, we do in heaven. Whatever we learn down here, we learn up there, but 2.4 million times deeper than we learn it on this earth. Because there's obviously four. There's the Pardes, Peshat, Remez, Darush, and Sod. There's the simple, the explanation. There's the hidden, the secrets, but the hints and the secrets. But each one of those has 600,000 different variations connected the 600,000 souls that we comprise ourselves of. And we should realize that the benefit of doing a mitzvah, either for ourselves, or there was a famous rabbi who said, I think it was Rab Gamliel, that when he was feeding his body, think about this split personality, he was feeding his body, he was doing chesed to his body. Because he just wanted to sit and learn Torah. He didn't need it. But it says, Ba'al kocha atachai. Right? In the Mishnah it says, against your will, you have to live. That's where we learn you can't, no one can chas v'shalom, suicide, right? You can't just choose, it's not your body. Hashem gave you the loan of this body and the soul, and he put the soul in the body, in this snakeskin of a body, as it's called, and the whole game, the rigmarole of the temptation and the sin, is the reason why we're here. People could think that, I had a bad thought, let's say in the middle of Amidah, my Shamaz and Atzilut, and I had the worst possible thought, and they could think, I'm a terrible guy, chas v'shalom. A person should realize, he says in Tanya, the Alter Rebbe says in Tanya, he says, you think you're a tzaddik? Relax. He says, only a tzaddik who completely vanquished his Yetzer Hara doesn't get bad thoughts in Amidah. Most people get a strange thought. It doesn't have to be a terrible thought. It's something foreign. The concept is that we're supposed to be thinking about Hashem. We're supposed to be focusing on the words, and we're supposed to be enveloping ourselves in this feeling of love and awe. And if we can't feel it, we're supposed to contemplate and do what we can to try to elevate ourselves to get onto that level. But if we get a thought that's going to stray us from that, we should be happy. It's a crazy concept that blew my mind. How do you be happy? Well, 1 second, I'm doing something and I was just straight off from the path. If a horse is straight off from the path, he gets a hit, right? So what's the benefit here? You have to realize the Yetzer Hara, who's doing his job, he doesn't want you to succeed, by the way. We know that. There's no like little red guy and little white guy, right? These guys all work for the same goal to get you credits, right? And to elevate you, to refine this body that we were loaned, so that we should be on that we should elevate the body. The soul needs no refinement whatsoever. The soul is perfect. The soul needs no refinement whatsoever. But the benefit that we obviously have is that why is the Yetzer Hara doing it at that moment? Obviously, it means that you're doing such a high level prayer that he wants to, we got to pull the horses back. So how do you do it? You throw a bad thought in there. And Baal HaTanya says that you use You use both hands, of course, figuratively speaking, and you push out the thought. And when you do that, you're getting the beautiful opportunity of velo taturu acharei levavechem v'acharei einechem. Because a person wants what they see. Velo taturu, also Rabbi Malka said, acharei levavechem v'acharei einechem. Why don't you say acharei einechem v'acharei levavechem? When I see it, then I want it. So he says, if you see something, it's because you wanted it. If a person dwells on a concept, we talked about the chokhmah, binah, and da'at, right? The chokhmah is like the yud, which is the da'at, right? First, a flash comes into your head. You can choose. Now I'm going to think about it and stretch it out, the yud into the hey, right? Stretch it out, or the bet, whatever you want. It's the yud, it stretches, right? I want to dwell on it. Or, chas v'shalom, it gets even worse, the vav, where it goes from the head into the rest of the body, right? And then it can get into something of a feeling, into the heart. And then you start to chemet, you start the desire comes into something warm, something in the mind is still cool. It's like a intellectual concept. But if you dwell on it, then when you see it in the street, it can pull you and attract you to it. Chas v'shalom. So he says it's not the velotatur acharei nechem v'acharei levavchem. It's velotatur acharei levavchem v'acharei nechem. So we should realize that we have the opportunity to turn away. We should be rejoicing. We should be happy that we now have this opportunity to do a mitzvah. Right in the middle of Amidah, our soul's in Atzilut. We're all the way up, and we have from Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu. I remembered recently, I never finished off in the previous times we met. I never finished off that, so we said Shema, just to recap real quick. Shema, if you break it up, Shem Ayin, Hashem, Ayin is 70, Gematria Katan is 7, the emotions. We try to take Hashem, bring him down into all of our emotions, right? Also, there's 7 worlds, so that comes up at the end when we get to Echad. But we still, it's the same imagery, because it says Olam Katan. We're actually like a small Ir Ketana, small city, small world. All this is paralleled. Like we have 7 worlds, we have 7 emotions. And so that's Shema. Also, Shema, of course, means hear, that we should pay attention, and we should listen. So Shema. Then we have Yisrael. Yisrael is, of course, the Bnei Yisrael. We're supposed to think that Hashem thought of the Jewish... Alu b'machashava. We came into Hashem's thought, and then he decided, okay, I want to have the Jewish people, I got to make a world. Let's everybody get together, let's start working. And if you think about it, we came to a table that was already set. The Adam, right, came on the 6th day, right before Shabbat, right? 6th day. What happened before that? Everything else. The sun, the moon, the animals, everything else, everything was ready for us. We came to a Shulchan Aruch, everything was ready to go. Come, just eat the meal, everything's ready for you, right? So Shema Yisrael, also we break it up, Sar Kel, a minister of Hashem. How are we a minister of Hashem? It sounds like heresy. How could I be a minister of Hashem? Hashem is on top of everybody. No, Hashem put inside of us a piece of Hashem, and he made you a minister of Hashem, a little piece of Hashem inside of you. Now you have a choice. Are you going to take it to the Bet Midrash, or are you going to bring it, chas v'shalom, the Zohar says this, I'm not the one who says that, into a full toilet bowl? Chas v'shalom. We have to realize the imagery. When we pull our thoughts into, unfortunately, that's the depth of it, unfortunately. No pun intended. So, Yisrael also Yashar Kel. Hashem is straight, and just like Hashem is straight, we should try to emulate him. So that's Yisrael. Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad. Obviously, Hashem Elokeinu, I forgot to mention this last time, is the epitome of what Shema is all about. This is the mitzvah in a nutshell. If we miss the concept of Hashem Elokeinu when we're saying Shema, then I don't know if the mitzvah is accomplished by just saying it without thinking that Hashem is our God. That's the time that we think that Hashem is our God. And at some point during this pasuk, we're supposed to feel or think or just contemplate for a quick second that if a person was given the opportunity to give up their life for Hashem, they would do it. Meaning if somebody like your father said, I'm going to be Muslim, are you kidding me? Obviously, I'm a Jew, and I'm going to be Jew before and after you. Nothing's going to change. Even if I said I'm a Muslim, I wouldn't change. Obviously, I'm a Jew. So if a person feels that they would give up their life if they were given the opportunity, it's as if they gave up their life every time they say Shema. Misirat Nefesh, which we also accomplish every time we learn Torah, or every time we pray, because we're doing things that we would never normally do, and we're doing it for HaShem. If you think about bowing down, who would naturally bow down? It's very uncomfortable. This is, wow, I want to stand up straight, right? Same thing with putting on tefillin. If you think about it, it's a chok. It doesn't make sense. Why am I wrapping myself up? I'm doing it because Hashem wants me to. That's Misirat Nefesh. Hashem smiles and He puts on tefillin with you, and you put on tefillin. And we said, what does it say? Mika Amcha Yisrael. Who is like you, the Israel? So the last part of Shema is Hashem Echad, right? Echad, we have to have in mind, Hashem is one, Aleph. Chet is, we have the 8, which is the is Hashem coming down into the other, the 7 heavens and our earth, right? So that comes out to 8, and we're supposed to think about Hashem coming down into everything. Hashem permeates everything. And also, I just heard recently that the same concept originally, like we said by Shema, that we're supposed to take Hashem and try to have Him come down, just like in all the worlds, into our world. The same thing, we should let Him permeate into everything that we do. And when we realize that everything we do all day is just to find a way to reveal Hashem. People could say, thank you, Hashem, when something goes wrong. Thank God, at least everything else is okay. But we have to realize that in this moment that Hashem is giving us, this challenge is how you succeed. As we know, if you think of progress and comfort, progress tells comfort, I'm sorry, this is not going to work out. We're going to have to separate so that I can be a little less comfortable, so that I can proceed in life. And how do we do that? Through challenges. It doesn't have to be painful challenges, but sometimes Yisurim does end up helping us. So Echad, and then we have finally, that's Chet, right? And then the Dalid is the 4 directions of the world, right? We have north, south, east, west, right? And the Lubavitch Rebbe added up and down, right? Because we have like the Lulav, we go all the different directions. So we should try to permeate everything that our concepts should be just to follow one thing I said earlier about a person could think like a bad thought, or a person could think the Yetzer Hara comes into us all the time dressed like a Rosh Yeshiva and it says, you're not such a good guy. You don't have to go to our beat this time. What are you doing anyway with your life? Where are you? Chas v'shalom. We should realize how we were before, and we should realize where we are now and be so happy that we're not there anymore. And we should be proud, and we should always obviously try to strive to get higher, but we should realize the battle, that's the purpose of creation. Hashem smiles. And obviously the Baal Teshuvah in every single moment is on an even higher level than a tzaddik, because the love sickness that a person gets from being far from something they love, which of course every Jew loves Hashem, can make a person rebound higher than a person who never sinned. Shabbat Shalom, and we should accept the Torah again in this Shavuot with simcha and pnimiyut and inwardness, and again, Chazak u'Baruch. Shabbat Shalom.